In the Chumash in this week's Parsha, it's a very interesting phenomenon. We find Vayihi ben Sarah Aron, which is these well-known psukim that we say a few times a week when we take out the Torah from the Ark, from the Aron HaKodesh. And there's inverted nuns. There's nuns that look the opposite way than they are supposed to be. And the Gemara talks about why is the reason why these nuns are inverted, why they're the opposite way than the normal. And according to one pshat, according to one explanation, the Gemara says that there's really a break between three complaints that God had against the Jews. One complaint was that right after He gave us the Torah at Har Sinai, the Jews ran away. Like a child running away from school after a long day. We're fed up, we're done, we just want to take a break. God, enough with the mitzvahs, enough Torah. And then after 3 days of Hashem, of God telling us, keep on traveling, all of a sudden we said, we can't do this anymore. Stop, you're working us too hard. We can't go this fast. Let us slow down. Another one was we complained. We complained more as the next part of the psukim go on. And the third was complaining about the meat, the lack of meat, and the fact that the mun, we wanted something else to taste more, taste better. And we didn't stop complaining. And there were three cardinal sins that we performed at that time. And this was a break. These nuns tell us that there's a break between the complaints, between that which actions that we did to anger God, to anger Hashem. But the question is, why was there a break between the first and the second? Maybe the break should be between the second and the third. Why the break? Why is this Vayihi ben Sarah Aron, these famous psukim, separating us in this first idea of running away from Har Sinai? Why there does Hashem choose to give us some type of a step back and say, look what you've done? One of the greatest tests of a human being is when Hashem says, that the way you are measured, may you measure yourself or others, that's the way we measure you. And Hashem says to us, I'm not asking you to be like this individual. I'm not asking you to be like this great theologian, or this great scholar, or this unbelievable doctor, or this extremely a chesed machine. Someone looks to perform loving kindness all day. But rather, I'm looking to see yourself. How do you act? If you're going to be favorable to other people who do good for you, then why aren't you favorable to other people who perhaps they could benefit from you? Are you only generous to people that you feel you can use, or you get something out of, or you're generous in other ways? If they see you're passionate about certain things in life, why can you channel that passion for other things as well? For spiritual matters, for coming closer to God. So God looks into our own lives and says, how do we see? How are you? How do you act? Show us yourself. That's going to be the greatest teichacha on the Yom Adin, of the Day of Judgment. Hashem is going to open up our own lives, our own book, and say, let's see from your actions how you would have performed. That's why in this point, Dafka specifically over here, Hashem says, I have to teach you a lesson. Take a step back. Look what you've done. We all do averis. We all have transgressions in life. We're humans. Hashem knew that. He didn't make us malachim. He didn't make us angels in this world. But Hashem says, one expectation I do have of you. Be consistent. You're going to tell me, I'm running away from Har Sinai. I'm fed up. Enough of the Torah. Enough of the mitzvahs. I hear too much of them. I'm running. Hashem says, fine, you're running? Let's run to the promised land. Let's run to Eretz Yisrael. Let's run to the place where we're all striving to get to. All of a sudden, after 3 days of pushing us a little bit harder, we say, no, it's too hard, it's too fast, slow down. Hashem says, now all of a sudden you want to slow down. When it's convenient for you, you run. When it's not convenient for you, you slow down. That already I'm not tolerating. An inconsistency in your own life, something which you yourself have proven that you could do, and you chose not to. That hurts me a lot more than all your complaints and all your bitterness and all the other things that you perhaps are not comfortable with at the moment. But how about if we channel this, conclude on a positive note? Because we know ourselves, and we know that we want to do something, we could accomplish it. And we know our talents, and when we use it for certain things, we're successful. If we'd only channel that and use that in a passion for the positive, we could do the same. Someone once came to the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He was telling him he was a graduate student. And the Rebbe had answered to him, I also have a master's. He says, really? He was shocked. He said, what's the Rebbe doing with a master's? He says, I have actually a master's in electrical engineering. He says, electrical engineering. So why did he switch from that? He says, I stayed in the business. I still deal with electricity. I try to turn on the electricity in people's souls. I feel that's more important than this for me. And he explained to him, he said, because people think that electricity is shut off at times. We've given up on ourselves. And my job is to polish off all the exterior, all that junk around us, and to show that pilot light, that neshama, that soul that's burning within each and every one of us is still burning bright. And that's my job. He says, I knew I had a talent, and my job is to channel it in a way that would benefit the Klal Yisrael and benefit the Jewish people. I think in some way, when we go Behalothcha, we're trying, Aaron was to light the neiros, light the candles. As Judaism and Jews in general, it's supposed to be a light unto the nations, a role model for everyone. If we take that light that we have shining within each and every one of us, and we realize it, we recognize it, we're cognizant of it, and we let it shine brighter, we'll be able to have those sparks touch others. We'll channel that enthusiasm, that passion, and we'll channel for the positive, and we'll connect closer and closer to God, and we'll learn the lesson that the Torah is trying to tell us in this week's portion. Shabbos.